As heard on the Adam Carolla Show.
And I would say to my friends, 25, 35 years, friends, I'm the godmother to their kid, their family to me. I would say, we have to stand up for our own technology, and nobody wanted to do it. Everybody would say, look, I don't want a problem. I don't want to have a problem in my church. You know, if I get involved with you and this crusade of looking into abuses, physical, sexual, mental, where Shelly Miscavige is, then I'm going to have a thing.
She's still just missing, or what's the deal?
I don't know. I spent thousands of dollars. I don't know.
It's so weird.
Right? I filed a police report. Then I called the detective to follow up on, and then by the way, I had given a letter. I had written a letter to Shelly, and I said, here's the thing. This is what I need you to understand when going into this type of thing. You can't just roll up. You know, there's a guard gate. You're on private property. You have to extract her. You're dealing with somebody who believes, if you find her, who believes she deserves her punishment. She deserves being held in captivity. She might not even know that she's being held. You're dealing with somebody. So I gave him a note that said, Shelly, I haven't heard from you. I'm worried about you. Here's my number. Leave with this man. Call me right now. What's going on in there is horrible, and you know it. I will take care of you, whatever I said. Leave with this man now. Okay, never gave her the note, as far as I know. And then when I called to say, okay, did you find her? They said, that's classified.
Who said that's classified?
The detective.
Oh, wow.
Now, here's what's even sicker. The detective that was supposedly in charge of this case is you can Google this, okay? He is pictured at speaking at the Celebrity Center on human trafficking.
Wow.
Yes. Okay, so he tells me it's classified. I go, are you sick? I mean, are you sick? Is there something, are you on your way to retirement? Like, I don't get this whole, your response to me. He's like, okay, as far as I know, this is what I can tell you, she's fine. Did you see her? I said, did you see her with your own eyes? That's what I'm asking you. Did a representative see her? I cannot tell you that.
When you say did he see her, is that within the Celebrity Center?
No.
Or on his
supposedly
private?
Where she is up in either Riverside County at the base, like I think it's called Gold Base.
Well, and it was funny too. You got a letter saying it's not Hemet.
I'm not saying Hemet. Arrowhead. I don't know exactly where it is. Okay, but the thing is, I don't actually know that she's okay. I don't actually know that they saw her. Now, the classification that these things are given are one of them is like it's unfounded, meaning that she was either found or that a representative said that she's okay and doesn't want to be found. So, of course, Scientology uses that unfounded classification as that it literally was an unfounded, that I filed a purposeful, misinformed, knowing that she was alive and she was well. So they use that now on my hate website, that I filed a fraudulent missing persons report. Now, I then had to retain a lawyer because nobody, by the way, I found this out. You have to pay people to help. I had to hire a lawyer to request the documents. We want to see the documents that say, we want to know who saw her, what officer, what was her condition. This is all on Tony Ortega's site, the Underground Bunker. And you can see that I'm questioning. I'm saying, okay, that's fine. You're saying you found her alive. Now give us the specifics. They said we need 2 weeks. Okay, great. We gave them the 2 weeks, and now my only choice now is to go after them full on, to actually get an answer.
What was your relationship with her? Well,
Shelly was a senior executive. She was David Miscavige's assistant. That was her official title in church. She was with David Miscavige everywhere he went, and throughout the years we became friendly, which is not usual in the church. Senior executives don't usually socialize with parishioners, but sometimes we break the rules for celebrities. And so I got her ready for one of the galas at Celebrity Center, cards back and forth, Christmas cards, Christmas presents. She writes thank you notes all the time, and then all of a sudden nothing. And so that is did cause me concern, that I couldn't even get a letter to her and get a response. So, yeah. I would hope that somebody would care enough about me. I mean, if somebody shows up to my house and my husband said she's fine, I said to my mother, check the freezer. I mean, barge in, Ma.
Yeah,
Don't take his word for it. I'm going to be killed.
Oh, yeah.
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 The Adam Carolla Show is brand new 5 days a week. Subscribe on iTunes or listen at Podcast One, the Podcast One app, or adamcarolla.com.
Well, it's been 1 year since the devastating fire that hit Malibu, Palisades, and Altadena. Some building going on in the Palisades, some in Altadena, zero in Malibu. 1 year in, the only thing that's gone up is graffiti. But there is one property and one property only that I'm aware of that they're starting the building process. There's nothing on the coast and there's nothing in the hills, but there is one property on the coast that they've begun foundation work on, and I think that'd be a good property to explore. All right, so the 4 major caissons on the outside of the seawall are where the house is going to go. The seawall is on the caissons underneath it, and these things go down about 4 stories into the ground. And again, if you look on top of the caissons that form the seawall, there's no rebar sticking out. So they're not going to try to tie those tops in. These have 22 inches of rebar sticking out because they are going to tie those in with horizontal concrete forms that are called bond beams. So all those are going to be tied together. You can see it in their neighboring structure. You can see the caissons coming up and the bond beam is going across the top. And once that bond beam goes across the top, probably be 3 feet high, probably be another 30 yards of concrete just in this front bond beam, then they'll build on top of that. So basically, that scene in Planet of the Apes where Charlton Heston saw the Statue of Liberty, that's what'll be here in 2,000 years. Nothing else will be here. He'll just be staring at this. You damn dirty Coastal Commission! All right, now, what is a caisson? Well, a caisson is a hole that's drilled into the ground, and it's done by a caisson rig, those big high sort of tractor tower things with a big auger bit on them, and that bit goes down and digs a hole. If it's a 3-foot wide auger bit, then you have a 3-foot hole down there, 24 inches, what have you. So the caisson goes down into the sand and then into the soil. Now, how deep does the caisson go? Well, that's up to the engineer, and you get a soils report. So a lot of the time, the surface, and let's just say a hill house, they're doing caissons to hold a house up a hill. Well, the grade may be there, but bedrock may be here. Bedrock may be 10 feet below the grade, or bedrock may be 40 feet below the grade, or it could be 2 foot, or it could be 100 feet. And what the soils guy is going to say, and the engineer's going to say, is he's going to say, I want you to go 10 foot into bedrock. So now it's kind of luck of the draw of where that bedrock is. Obviously, if the bedrock is up toward the surface, then you're going to save a ton of money because you're not going to have to drill and go as deep. That's what a caisson is. The caisson digs the hole, and in the case of the home we're looking at in Malibu, it's about 4 or 5 stories into the ground. So when you see the caissons coming up out of the ground, that caisson is down about 4 stories in the ground with about 10 foot sticking up out of the ground. All right, once the hole is dug with the caisson, now it's time to drop a cage, a rebar cage. The rebar cage is made of hoops of rebar. Again, if the hole's 36 inches wide, maybe the hoops are 32 inches around. And then long straight pieces, and about every foot or so all tied together, number 6 rebar, which is 3/4 inches thick. So now we're going to make a giant rebar cage, and we're going to lower that rebar cage down into our hole, and we're going to suspend it, and then we're going to pump concrete into that hole. Now at the top, here's our soil line. Some of the caissons will stop at the soil line, and some will go up past that. Obviously, this needs to be formed with a sonotube. We've talked about those before. Literally just a round cardboard tube that'll get placed at the soil line and stick up whatever you want, 8 feet, 10 feet, what have you. The rebar will extend past the top of the form so that it can be later tied into other rebar and more concrete can be poured. All right, so you have caisson rig going down about 40 feet. And by the way, there's not one caisson there. There's 30 something caissons there. So if you're wondering why it's $2.5 million just in the foundation, well, each one of these caisson holes probably holds about 2 cement trucks. So a cement truck is like 10 yards, 10 yards. This probably, 17 yards. It's basically 2 trucks, every hole, rebar, and 4 or 5 stories into the earth times 30. So it's starting to add up. What we've been looking at is a property that needs caissons, but it also needs a seawall. I don't know why it needs a seawall, but evidently it needs a seawall for erosion, but I don't know what that means. The seawall is going to stick up from the soil line or the top of the sand probably about 3 or 4 feet above the grade. So that's the grade, on grade, above grade. It'll stick above grade probably about 4 feet, but it will go down another 15 to 20 feet. So it's a massive wall. So how do you form and pour a seawall that's basically halfway into the ocean, like it's up against, then the tide comes up, it floods, and so on and so forth. So the ocean will be here. Okay, that's where the waves break. And then there'll be a little bit of sand, and then there'll be the caissons that they have on the outer perimeter. And that's where the house is going to go. The seawall is in a little bit, and these are separate caissons. And these caissons, you can tell are the seawall caissons because they don't have rebar hanging out of the top like these ones. These all have rebar sticking out of the top, which means later on they're going to pour a bond beam and they're going to connect these, and they're going to use the rebar to tie that in. But these are for the seawall, and there is no rebar coming out of the top. So how do they do this seawall? How are they going to attach the seawall in between the caissons? So the caissons are like the posts of a picket fence or a 6-foot, dog-eared redwood 1x6 fence. Those are the 4x4 posts, and then the wall's sort of the in between. Okay, the first thing they do is they form it. They take big timbers, probably 6x10, 6x material, at least 4x10, 4x12 material, and they put it on the outside of these caissons. Okay, they put it on the outside. They keep stacking it up, and they just build a wall on the outside to form it. Then they put a rebar cage in between, all the way up from the bottom all the way up. They put a cage up in between the caissons. Now the caissons get drilled into 1 foot. They drill them in with hammer drills, and they go down and they take pieces of rebar that are 3 foot long, and they epoxy them into the hole. So they drill a hole, they blow out the hole, they clean out the hole, they inject epoxy, and then they put these dowels. They're called dowels. They're rebar. They're like 1 foot in, 2 foot hanging out. And then they tie all that in with this cage. Now, you got this form in the back, you got this cage. So when you're looking at the front of it, it's gonna look like this with the form behind it and the cage going all the way down. Then they take shotcrete. Shotcrete is sprayed concrete. It's basically what they used to call gunite. They don't let you use that anymore. When you see a swimming pool made, they put the cage, they dig it out, they put a rebar cage, and the guy comes in and shoots this, and guys trowel it off. So it's not formed on both sides, and you're pumping it in. It's open on one side. You're shooting this shotcrete on it, and guys are troweling it off. When that dries, then you remove that back form, and you have a seawall that is tied in to the caissons. And by the way, the seawall goes along the front where the ocean is and then turns the corner and comes back toward the highway another 30 feet. So it's a big horseshoe shape. I have no idea why it has to come back to the highway that way, but either way, it's exquisitely over-engineered. All right, so you've heard me talk a lot about caissons and piles, and I know everyone's head is swimming. So let me just illustrate it real quickly with a couple of provisos along the way. This is the ocean, this is the sand, and here's where we want to build our new house. And back in the day, they would use piles. And a pile is basically a telephone pole that's being mashed into the ground with a pile driver. Bang, old steam-powered bang, bang. And back in the day, they didn't have engineering, and they didn't have plan check, and they didn't have the city or anything. They just had a guy who was sort of a pile expert who'd go, yeah, I think you need like 11, or put 3 here and 2 there. And they would literally just pound this telephone pole down into the sand until it basically stopped. And then they'd go, all right, well, that's as far as that one's going. And they would put a series of them, and not too many of them. It was a 2,000 square foot house, you know, it didn't need that many. And then they would tie them together with, 4x8s or whatever, and bolt it, and they'd make this whole sort of complex of that. And then they would build the house on top of that once they set that in. Now, that's what they did throughout history. The pier up the street, which is 120 years old, is all built on piles. It's been there for 100 and some odd years on telephone poles. And by the way, the telephone poles were soaked in something called creosote, which is something they've outlawed now. It's basically tar. That's why telephone poles have that tar on them. And they're also, when they get below the surface, there's no oxygen down there, so they don't decompose. So you're kind of like wondering, why is the pier 100 years old, and it's in the water, and it's in the ocean water, and those piles have not decomposed yet? Well, there's no oxygen down where they're in the soil, and then this stuff is covered with some sort of toxic tar that makes it preserve forever. So that's the way we used to do it. Every single house on the beach was done the same way because they were started building those houses in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. I mean, the piers from like 1905. So this stuff started springing up in 1920s. There's houses from the 50s. When you walk along the beach, formerly, before the fire, you would see the piers, the pylons. And over the years, people added on to these things. They put some concrete sleeve around it. They wrapped it with fiberglass. They sort of bolstered it, but they never had to tear it down. And there's no seawalls. They didn't have any seawalls at all. It's unclear to me exactly what a seawall does. I've read about it. It's supposed to stop erosion. But all these houses have been there since the 30s, 40s, and 50s are just sitting on telephone poles, and the water comes up and then the water comes back. I don't know what the erosion part is. And then what about the rest of the beach that has no seawall? That's the entire beach. You go down PCH another 3 miles, you see all of Santa Monica Beach, Venice Beach, Manhattan Beach. There is no seawall. So what's to stop the sand from going back into the sea? I don't know. You build a structure that's 30 feet wide. What, you're responsible for that little stretch of sand in front of yours? And again, the water's just going up past the telephone poles and going back, just like it does on the pier. What they're doing now is what I was trying to explain, is they're drilling in to the caissons. That's a roto hammer. It's a pump, 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 pump. Masonry bit. They're drilling into it. They're doweling into it, and then they're tying the cage into the dowels. That's what they're doing. And the wood on the outside is the form that they're shooting against. 2 properties over from where they're building Hitler's bunker, you have what existed. These were the piles, the telephone poles, you can see here, that were driven down into the soil and made it until the fire. Now what they did with some of this stuff is they retrofitted some of this stuff. They took it and they wrapped it in fiberglass. This stuff all happened after the fact. So this stuff was probably punched down originally in the 40s, the 50s, maybe the 60s, and then at some point they said, well, we should wrap it with rubber or fiberglass, and then we should take some of this treated 4x12 and get some stainless steel bolts and like through bolt it and essentially retrofit it. It'd be like if you had an old house in Pasadena from the teens or the 20s and somebody went in and earthquake proofed it. You know, we'll just bolt it down to the foundation and add some shear wall to it. But all they did was sort of beef up what was existing. So these cross members are new because they didn't have this pressure treated green lumber back in the day when they originally built this. So they added on, and as you can see, it worked. And by the way, 0 seawall. There is no seawall. I still don't know why there's a seawall. They want to rebuild here. The first 50 grand they're going to spend is getting this crap out of the ground, and then they're going to need a seawall, and they're going to need the caissons that go 40 feet. I mean, whoever owns this property, you're $2.5–3 million into putting up your first 2x4 or piece of plywood. That's the whole thing. What are these people to do? Not to mention the time and the permitting and all the other process. Like, I mean, that's just what's into the foundation. You got to get soils, you got to get engineering, you have to have a deputy inspector here the entire time that you pay for, watching those guys spray the concrete or build the rebar cage. Deputy inspectors are inspectors, they're not from the city. You pay for them. Oh, deputy inspectors, great. Sometimes they don't even get out of their car. They just sit there. This is an example of one that got retrofitted. Like, they poured 3 or 4 caissons in the ground. The telephone poles are from the 30s or the 40s or something, and then at some point in the 80s or the 90s, somebody retrofitted this with a couple of caissons that went down, you know, probably 15 feet. So what you see here is kind of the gamut. There's new construction, that's mega caisson and seawall. There's new-ish construction that had caissons in there. There's retrofitted, somebody added those. There's sort of retrofitted that somebody wrapped them, and then there's not even retrofitted, just basically telephone poles and pilasters. By the way, this is their seawall. These rocks are nature's seawall. So, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, this stuff is not the problem, and this has been fine for 75 years, and the fire destroyed this house. Not the foundation, the fire. The potpourri, the pageantry, it's interesting. You have extra small in the foundation. You have small foundation in terms of strength. You have medium actually here because it's retrofitted. Then you have large over here because it was retrofitted with more caissons. And then you got extra mega grande overkill on the one they're building right now. And the difference between rebuilding is having to do this versus having to do this. This can be done. This is $2.5 million. These poor guys have to pump all the water out so they can keep building the seawall under there. Now, one thing I do not have an answer on, and I should ask one of these guys, is why the rebar is running wild above the form. They did it for a reason, but I don't know what that reason is. They're going to do something, but I don't know why. I cannot explain to you why that rebar is running wild past the top of that seawall. It suggests they're going up. And maybe there's going to be a bond beam between the tops of all these, but they didn't hang any rebar out of the top, which doesn't mean they're not going to drill down into the top, because they already drilled into the sides of the thing. So they may drill down and epoxy stuff in the top of these things and then tie the entire seawall in, which they're going to do. I am now saying it out loud. I think they're going to tie the tops of those caissons in together. Now, this is more modern construction. This was probably built 10 years ago, and it had a lot of the same requirements that are going on there, although I don't think it had a seawall, because as you can see, that seawall's coming up 6 feet higher than the sand level, and I don't see anything here. So what do we have? We have the caissons that go down in the ground, probably not as deep as those. Then, as I said, we have that bond beam that goes on top. It spans, you can see most clearly here. They'll span this bond beam going all the way across the top of the caissons, and then pour what looks like a 10 or 12 inch slab on top of the bond beams that go on top of the caissons and make it one big, huge, monolithic, crazy concrete pour. So this is stupendous, the amount of concrete that's in here. And what's this? This is cored out. And this homeowner, whose home was burnt on this side, wants to keep these. Because if the city said, sorry, you're gonna have to replace all these, that would be $2 million like that. So this guy's getting a core sample, and they're gonna take this core sample, they're gonna drill it with a hole saw, they're gonna take the core, they're gonna take it to a lab. Guess who's paying for all this, by the way? You and me. No, that guy is paying for all this. He's gonna take this to some lab, and they're gonna give it a crush test, okay? And they're gonna put a thing, and they're probably gonna figure out, 2,000 pounds. It's gotta be at least 2,000 pounds before it crushes. Otherwise, it meant it was compromised by the fire. And you can see that it's the outgoing ones. The inner ones didn't get hit by the fire. So what the city probably said is they said, look, we want the ones that were exposed to the fire. We need the bond beam. We need a crush test on that. And so this guy just spent 20 grand just doing this. By the way, do you think it wouldn't be safe for the homeowner to go back in to this concrete, monolithic, Stonehenge-esque bunker that they're living in? This would be the best place you could be for an earthquake, a typhoon, or an atomic bomb. But still, they're not going to let them move back in without testing the concrete, and then later on they can pay somebody to patch the holes. They got the slab tested too. By the way, you should know that this is an anti-theft device, a tower with a speaker and a sensor on it. And when I was by here the other day, I tripped the sensor off and it started speaking to me. I'll let you guess the language. Japanese, Yiddish, or Spanish. I'm not going to say what language it spoke to me in. You can guess. You see all the dowels going in, and now they're unloading another metric ton of rebar to make another cage and tie that in. So, what is going on, and why is there no building going on PCH except for this one project that I've been keeping you informed on? Well, it's way too expensive. We went up to the hills, if you guys have been watching, and we toured the home that was being built in the Palisades up in the hills. It's a 5,000 square foot home, and I said to the contractor, what did the foundation cost? Because his is on a slab. And he said $50,000. All right, that's $50,000. It's done in 3 days, and you can start building. This is $2.5 million, and it's going to take 6 months at least to do. So you haven't even started building your home. You're already into it, $2.5 million. And we're not talking about a 17-story skyscraper. We're talking about a single family dwelling. So when you look at what's being built, it really resembles the Atlantic seawall the Germans built at Normandy in 1941 and a half. I mean, literally, some of those bunkers did not have as much concrete in them as this single-family home does in California and Malibu in 2026. It could withstand British soldiers on a Higgins ship attacking it. People also look at it and want to know if there's going to be a basement, because it seems like such a waste to excavate and go down 20 feet and build this seawall that's 16 inches deep and not put some sort of basement. No, there will be no basement. They will just refill everything. And when it's all said and done, you'll just walk right past it. The house will be on top of it and you won't know any better. People say, so what? What's wrong? Safety. There's nothing wrong. What's wrong with safety? Nothing's wrong with safety. Put a mask on a 2-year-old because of COVID. Go ahead. Make sure every kid has a mask on. You can't fly without a mask because it's safe. Well, at a certain point, it becomes unrealistic and it becomes way too burdensome for the person who's in charge. You want to fly with a kid? You want to go to Philadelphia from LA and fly with a 2.5-year-old and be in charge of keeping a fucking mask on their head the entire time? So what's wrong with it? That's what's wrong with it. It's not just what's wrong with it. What if I just said, look, your car needs to be up to NASCAR standards. It needs to have a full roll cage and a fire suppression system, and we can't just have a fuel tank. We need a fuel tank with a bladder. We need real safety. We need nets in this car. We need everything. You go, well, what's wrong with that? That's safe. Yeah, I know, but a Prius would be $175,000. So it's not. It's not practical, is what I'm saying. Yes, it's safer. It's safer. It'd be safer to drive a car with a helmet on than a full roll cage and a fire suppression system. It would be safer. Except for it's not realistic and it's burdensome. And then what do you end up with? Well, people aren't going to buy Prius because it's too expensive. What's going on in LA? We don't have housing. We don't have enough housing. We don't have affordable housing. Why don't we have it? It's too cost prohibitive. That's what's going on. The people who don't pay for it have made it way too expensive for the people who do pay for it. And that's why you can't build in Los Angeles. So this is all there was. No seawall, no caissons, just 7 telephone poles mashed into the ground. Good for 80 years. Well, disappointing, but informative. And it's been an interesting journey. The last year, you guys supporting this project and sharing with friends has been awesome. And, you never know when the lemonade is going to come out of the lemons in life. So, devastating fire, but started going around and chronicling things, and now we're doing something different on YouTube. So thanks for supporting the vlog, and we'll keep them coming.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Hey Adam, what's up? This is Kale. I'm calling from Canada. Please help us. It's fucking horrible down here. Help me become American. Please. I'll do anything. Well, not anything, but,
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
Yeah. I'd say Canada's ahead of California in the woke going down, circling the toilet department. Mm-hmm. They're there. I mean, COVID. Remember when the truckers were striking and they were shutting off their bank accounts and stuff? They're fucking insane over there. Everyone I knew went to Canada to film something. They had to sit in a hotel room for 2 weeks, even if they were boosted, even if they already had COVID. And they had like a guard like guard their door. They're nuts. By the way, Justin Trudeau is progressive. That's what progressive gets you. It gets you a guard by your hotel room so you can't leave.
Yeah.
That's and tons of taxes. I have no idea why we're dabbling with this, like we're toying with it all the time. Like, what about some version of this? How about no version of it?
Right.
All right.
Well, the reason why it's able to move in California is honestly probably voter fraud.
I guess that's what we're finding out.
Yeah.
So now I got a couple things to take care of.
Let's hear it.
One is there's a Carrot Top controversy.
Uh-oh.
People are angry, including Carrot Top, because I besmirched him.
Oh, no.
Well, I like Carrot Top.
I know you do.
And I had said that I don't know why it's not. Is this not on my list, by the way? Or is it on the list? I feel like we talked to him for 20 minutes on the way in. All right. I will play you the clip that Carrot Top played in response to me.
Okay.
Yes, this is awesome. Here we go.
You build all the puppets,
Yeah,
right?
I built all the dummies, yeah. And I'm pretty proud of myself. Those things have lasted for decades.
Yeah, no shade for Carrot Top, but he makes his own props. But taking a Barbie and stapling it to a 2x4 and going, baby on board, it's not that difficult.
It's not my fucking prop is the reason. If you're going to fuck with me, fuck with my act. Fuck with my joke. That's Gallagher. Gallagher did Baby on Board.
Baby on board.
If you're going to do a joke about me, pick my joke. It's like saying, yeah, the Rolling Stones weren't that. I mean, Jukebox Hero wasn't really their best song because it fucking wasn't their song. You got to see this. This is awesome.
That's Foreigner.
Yeah.
It is a horrible song. He's right. I owe him an apology. I don't remember Gallagher. I remember the Sledge-O-Matic, and I remember a giant bed that he'd bounce up and down on, but I don't remember him doing Carrot Top-esque prop stuff. I just remember the sledge. But apparently, he did prop
Well, I would imagine
stuff
that
like
Gallagher was probably a big inspiration on Carrot Top.
I guess so.
Yeah.
So I owe Carrot Top an apology.
And I know you like him. He's a nice guy. He's been in here before. He's what we talk about. He's the comedian's comedian.
And I'm glad I got coached up because my whole life I thought Baby on Board was a Carrot Top one.
Well, there you go.
Now Gallagher's dead, but yeah, wiring a baby onto a piece of plywood isn't a really great gag.
Good job.
Yeah, so I owe Carrot Top an apology.
I'm glad we got that cleared up.
Got that cleared up. Now, I am owed an apology by the makers of Top Gun Maverick.
You think you're going to get it?
It won't be as fast as Carrot Top's response. I don't know why this, but I'm bothered when movies do stuff where you try to make the person the hero, but they're really behaving in a way that would be wildly irresponsible and dangerous, and it's not hero action at all.
Okay.
I hadn't seen that movie in a couple years. I just thought, yeah, it's a good movie. I want to watch this movie, Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise, I mean, Act 1, and listen, anyone want to pick holes in this, you can. Andrew likes the movie. Tom Cruise is a test pilot.
Right.
And so he's all excited that he gets to. There's no helmet laws wherever he rides his motorcycle. I've learned in Top Gear, even though he frequently goes down to San Diego to Top Gun, whatever,
Miramar,
and he rides that motorcycle all over the place, and he never wears a helmet. In California, you'd be pulled over 30 times from the base on the back to your apartment. But anyway, he's a test pilot, so he comes pulling in to. Well, first he works on his vintage P-51 Mustang, which is always what they do is they always pull the plugs. They're always putting the plugs in or pulling a plug and looking at it because that means the character knows. He can read a plug.
Right.
He's old school.
Right.
You know what I mean? So he looks at the plug, because they always do that. It's also a good way to get a little bicep flex in there because you reach up and you kind of show the guns off a little and they hand pull, but means you're salt to the earth. So then he gets on his motorcycle,
and he breaks the speed limit all the way down to the center because it's time to test the new Air Force supersonic aircraft.
Right.
And I am guessing the Air Force has several $1 billion into this program. The plane itself is pretty damn expensive looking, and it can fly. They want to get to Mach 10.
Right.
Which is...
it's a lot of Machs.
It depends whether you're at sea level or wherever, but I'm going to go with Mach 10 as being somewhere around 7,000 miles an hour. Look up Mach 10. I bet it's 6,800 miles an hour or 7. Well, it'll probably give you a range. It'll go if it's at sea level, it's at this. If it's that, or if at altitude, it's that. But 7,000 miles an hour. Oh, 767. So over 7,000 miles an hour for the Mach. Okay. Now, the plane he's due to test, and it's a very high-end experimental aircraft, led by a black guy with a couple of young black chicks in that booth too. You know, okay, we got to even it out. And they say today's the day we bring it to Mach 9, and the plan was, if they could get this plane to Mach 10, they would order more, whatever. They'd get a full order.
Right.
So they go, today we're supposed to get to Mach 9, but the head general's coming in, and he's going to shut this thing down. No more program. And Tom Cruise goes, what if we get to Mach 10 today? He'd have to keep the program. And they're like, well, today it's only slated for Mach 9 because we're testing this thing as we ratchet it up. And, of course, Cruise, because he's a test pilot, gets to go, no, we're going for 10. Everyone, get to your stations. And they all hustle up, and they do. They're evidently... There's no one really in charge there, but the general guy's coming.
Okay.
And don't worry, he's going to be here in like 10 minutes, so we got to get going, right? So they
got to hurry up and reach Mach 10.
Hurry up and reach Mach 10. So Cruise jumps into the plane, and right as, of course, he's taxiing, of course, the general guy's pulling up to the base, and, of course, the airstrip goes right to the guard shack, so he's going to give him a flyby as he takes off.
He's going to buzz the tower.
So then... the head general guy, Ed, Andrew, tell me who he is. Ed Harris, who's always the general guy. He's an angry general guy. He comes in and he goes, bring him down. We're not going to get to Mach 10. And they're like, what do we get to Mach 10? Bring him in. And then they do a thing where he calls them to come in, but they pretend like the radio doesn't work. You know, he speaks in staccato.
Right.
And then they realize if they could get to Mach 10 with the general there, they could save the program.
Okay.
And the billions of dollars that went into it.
Right.
And everyone would have a job. So Cruise, because he's a maverick, says, I'm going for it. And he throttles that thing all the way up, right? And now we're at Mach 7. And we're Mach 8, and it's ticking up, 8.2, 8.3, outside, plane shaking, starting to heat up on the control surfaces, red hot. Now we're going to Mach 9. And everyone's glued to the set, watching it down at the base. And all of a sudden, we get... Hold on, you're making a great movie. But listen to me. We get to 9.2, 9.3... 9.5, 9.7, 10. We've made it to Mach 10. Everyone celebrates downstairs. Oh, they're at home base, but we made it to 10. We've reached our goal. Now bring that airplane back, and let's have an order for a dozen of these bad boys. And by the way, we're all going to have jobs for the next 20 years because we're making this supersonic airplane that got to Mach 10 as discussed and agreed upon, even though today was only a Mach 9 trial.
Right.
Technically, we've reached our goal of Mach 10, and we've made it, and everyone's celebrating. And of course, the head guy, because the radio does work now, he goes, all right, Maverick, you made it to 10, now bring it home. And Maverick says, no, I'm going to keep going until the plane explodes.
Right.
That's not what you're looking for in a test pilot. I'm going to just keep... By the way, Once you make it to Mach 10, who gives a fuck if you get to Mach 10.3? There's no difference. You had 10. It's basically like saying, Brad Pitt in F1, I want you to test our new F1 car out at Circuit of the Americas. And they go, now remember, red line is 10,000 RPMs. And he goes, well, fuck it. I'm just going to keep my foot planted until the engine blows up.
Right.
Thank you. Nice job testing our car. You got to 10. Why would they write that Maverick needs to just keep going? Where did he want to get to? Oh, okay, he gets to 10.8. And the thing's fucking shaking. The control surfaces are red hot. The agreement was for 10. He never made any proclamation where this thing's good till 12. I can get to 12. He did nothing. He just kept the throttle down until the plane had catastrophic failure. And then, by the way, could have easily landed in the middle of a town and taken out a fucking school.
Sure.
And he got ejected. And then this $10 billion plane just falls to the ground. And then he just walks back to the base. Hey, man, what's going on?
You'd think after Goose died, he'd learn his lesson.
Yes.
Well.
No. I'm sorry. That means he's got a flaw as a character. And also, if you're writing the fucking movie, what is his motivation to literally...
It's crazy.
He literally just keeps the throttle jammed all the way up until the plane comes apart.
That's irresponsible.
Scrap the fucking... Now the plane's scrapped. Not to mention the $10 billion piece of hardware that just fell out of the sky.
Right.
And then you walk back to base and you stand there kind of defiantly and you do the kind of... play by my own rules. It's like, you're a fucking out of control maniac. This is not what test pilots do.
Right.
All right, that's a huge problem. It's a huge problem with the movie. And it's right in the first 10 minutes of it.
I think that apology will be forthcoming. Yeah.
I don't know why people write movies. They go, I don't get, why does he keep going? Why don't we, I'll tell you what. Why don't we have him get to 10? Everyone cheers, and they yell, Maverick, bring it home, and we show him reach for the throttle to start to slide it back, and then there's a whoop, 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 like immediately. Why don't we do that? Oh, no, we're just going to keep it mashed, and he's going to go indefinitely until the plane blows up. That makes him an asshole, and a shitty American, and a fucking bad test pilot.
Wasting taxpayer dollars for his own glory.
Okay.
Come on, Nav.
Sorry, man. Anyway, made me angry. And I don't believe the rest of the movie now.
Of course.
All right. Sorry. What do you got?
I got Vince Vaughn. Vince Vaughn's taken aim at late-night television, arguing that an increasingly political tone has driven audiences away and contributed to the genre's declining popularity. Let's hear what he said on...
A lot of it's just Hollywood echo chamber stuff. East Coast, West Coast. A lot of it has to do that no one really talks about is bookings. If you got out there, let's just say you were a late night talk show host and you just go, hey man, today's election day and I'm voting for Trump. You don't get Bryan Cranston the next day and you don't get George Clooney the next day. Your bookings dry up.
Okay.
I mean, look at it. Let's look at it this way. Gutfeld, ratings-wise, is doing well in late night. I don't even know if he's technically late night anymore, but he's doing well, right?
Yes.
You can turn on Gutfeld on any given night, and celebrity-wise, I don't know, Dean Cain, probably at the top of the whatever, maybe sure. Kevin Sorbo. I mean, celebrity-wise, Chef Gruel, you know, you're talking about people that they wouldn't book if two guests dropped out of a network late night show.
Right.
Celebrity-wise.
Right.
Not enough, not popular enough at this time. You know what I mean? So part of it is if you get up there and start talking about stuff
that these guys don't like. You don't get this person. You don't get to interview Barack Obama if you're up there yelling about close the borders.
Right, but it's so one-sided, though.
Yeah, I get it, but if you just go, look, if you just did a list, right? Mm-hmm. You just did a list of like celebrities and some sort of power ranking. You know what I mean? And you started with Oprah or something, or you started with LeBron James, or maybe you started with George Clooney, or Brad Pitt or something like that. The top 50 would all be left-leaning, and it would all be people who'd want to book on your show.
Yes.
And if you started talking about stuff that was off the beaten path in terms of the left conversation, then no mas with that. So I think a lot of it is a booking situation.
Interesting. But I mean, who's in charge of that? Why can't that easily change?
It could, but it takes a while. And you have to lose money. Well, there's a power rankings in
most popular celebrities.
Most popular celebrities.
As determined by IMDb
100
users.
Names. Amy Madigan. Okay.
How? Who is that?
I think she just won the Oscar, but I don't know who she is either. I wouldn't recognize her.
Okay.
Jessie Buckley.
I don't know who that is either.
Chuck Norris.
Okay.
Do you know who Chuck Norris is?
I do know who Chuck Norris is.
Paul Thomas Anderson. I think a lot of this is fresh off the Oscars, though.
Okay.
That's the problem with this. Nicholas Brendan.
Don't know who he is.
Don't know who that is. Michael B. Jordan. I do know that. Leonardo DiCaprio. All right. Emily Rudd.
How is it that the list of the 100 most popular actors, I don't know half of them? In the top
Garrett?
10.
You don't know the
I don't know the Bo Garrett.
Garrett, who's a chick. Timothy Chalamet. All right.
Uh-huh.
Oh, Nicholas Brendan just died.
I don't think I know who Emily Rudd is either.
Well, there must be a Paul Rudd thing. Sister.
Possibly.
Keep going.
That would make sense.
Let's see. Sean Penn, all right, Oscars. Ryan Gosling, movie out. Alan Richardson's beat a guy down in the street. Elle Chapman, don't know.
Yeah. Turned
Matt
out we were
Clark,
right about
don't
Richardson, by the way.
What did we figure out?
The part of the video that you don't see is the neighbor jumping in front of Alan Richardson's motorcycle and screaming at him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, his kids, what a life. What a life. Matt Clark just died too. So I guess maybe in a weird way, the problem with this list is there's some guy you never heard of, but he just got a DUI. So now he's at the number 5. Like, right. I don't think that's a good way to measure a list.
No.
Celebrity you haven't heard of, but he just died. That's no way to do a power rankings list.
No.
Yeah.
Anyway, in the podcast, Theo Vaughn pointed out that Hollywood is a liberal place, to which Vaughn replied, but not really. It's more like we're smart and got it figured out, and if you don't agree, then you're an idiot. And I think that's totally true.
Yeah. I haven't talked to Vince in a while, ever since I told him I let my neighbor's house burn. I think I offended him.
Think he was a little afraid of his own house?
Well, he did live right next door to me, and I did tell him my old neighbor's house caught on fire, and I let it burn.
I just let it go.
Yeah. Well, it was a commitment I made to myself. It was really an honorable thing to do. I mean, when you hate your neighbor so much that you declare to the heavens, if that guy's house on fire, I'm not calling the fire department.
Right.
And then his house is on fire. What are you going to do? Go back on your word?
Well, hopefully stay off the police radar, because you'd be the first door I'm knocking on. What do you know about this fire, and where were your whereabouts?
He turned out to be okay.
Good.
All right, what else we got?
University of Southern California canceled a high-profile gubernatorial primary debate just hours before it was set to take place, following backlash over the event's lack of racial diversity amongst invited candidates. It was supposed to be Tuesday night at USC, but somebody, including, I believe, our state attorney general, started screaming and crying that people who aren't polling anywhere near the other people weren't invited simply because of the color of their skin.
Is that really a thing in Los Angeles in 2026?
They keep on throwing it at us as if it is.
It's a weird thing. It's like when they go, cops are racist. Good luck finding a white cop in Los Angeles.
Right.
It's like seems like mostly Hispanic women.
Well, we had Mayor Villaraigosa for 2 terms, and all of a sudden we don't like him because he's brown. That's the answer that they have.
Tom Bradley.
He's got an airport wing.
Black man.
Yep.
Tom Bradley was mayor of Los Angeles in 1968.
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
We're still going to be talking about this? Yep. By the way, we weren't talking about it back then.
Right.
He was just the mayor.
Former state controller Betty Yee wasn't invited.
What?
And it's not because she thinks that the Olympics should be genderless.
By the way,
it's not for that reason.
20 years. Oh, that dumb coos.
Yeah.
Bradley was mayor for 20 years.
Yeah.
A black man was in charge of Los Angeles. By the way, it was 68.
Yeah.
His first, was it 68 or 72? You can look it up.
From July 73 to
73.
July 93. Holy smokes.
Okay,
20 years as mayor.
Here's how long we let a black guy run Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. From the time I was like in the 3rd grade or 4th grade. The 3rd grade. From the time I was in the 4th grade, let's call it 3rd. Here's how long a black guy ran Los Angeles. From the time I was in the 3rd grade to the time I started doing radio when I was 30, basically. Yeah. From that period of time in my lifetime living here, thus, he's the only mayor I ever had, essentially, for the first, from the time you're in the 3rd grade to the time you're 30, and you live in that town the whole time. That's your whole life. We had a black man, seemed like a sensible dude. Mm-hmm. He was normal, and the city was fine. Mm-hmm. And then we got a bunch of crazy koozes in here, and now it's all turned to shit.
Yeah.
But something about race, again?
That's all it is.
That's all.
USC initially defended its selection process, saying that invitations were based on data-driven formula developed by a university professor that weighed polling and fundraising, but critics argued the methodology produced a skewed outcome in a crowded race with no clear frontrunner. The controversy escalated after California legislative leaders demanded the university expand the debate field. Every excluded leading candidate, Javier Baccaria, Betty Yee, Tony Thurmond, and Anthony Villaraigosa, as a person of color. Lawmakers wrote in a letter to USC.
By the way, they're outraged over this shit. They're never outraged over their city burning down or college girls getting stabbed at work or something like that. They don't care about that, but they get outraged.
They called on USC to do the right thing, and they said if USC does not do the right thing, then we call on California voters to boycott this debate. Okay, well then let's have the debate.
Right.
And then if you want to boycott it, you can boycott it.
Yes.
But this is basically, it's a fight against a merit-based system, right?
Yes. Well, they don't like merit-based.
Right.
They're DEI idiots. That's how we get mayor pass.
Well, the people who were supposed to be in it were Steve Hilton, Chad Bianco, Tom Steyer, who is... God, the guy's a retard.
He's a fucking full retard. He's running a commercial. You want to talk about commercials? The thing that's funny for me is like people make commercials for products or campaigns or whatever it is, and I look at them and go, this is like somebody went down to Madison Avenue and said, how do we get Carolla not to vote for this guy?
Right.
Or how do we get him not to buy this product? And then you show me the 2 gay guys driving the Volkswagen who adopted a sheep, and I go, fuck that. I'm not going anywhere near that car. Right. So you're making a commercial that's actually pushing me away. So yeah, Tom Steyer has one where he's talking about fighting ice and doing all this other shit.
Right.
But there's one where he has a fat lunch lady in it.
And she only gets to make 200 lunches.
And she's like, first off,
Listen, everybody, you can't tell me people have food anxiety and or are fat.
Yeah.
Listen, let me explain something. When you make a World War II film, okay, let me just explain something. This going to be for
She
you,
doesn't
Chuck.
look like she has food anxiety.
No, she eats all the food she makes for the kids. She's like, one for you, two for me.
Right.
Chuck, Schindler's List. I know your family watches it every year at Christmas. Schindler's List, all right? When they liberated those camps in Poland and all the Jews were liberated, did they have any fat Jews? In that cast, they have to cast people. You understand?
Yeah.
They don't have a time machine.
They got to diversify
They
it
have
up a little
to
bit.
go back and they have to cast people in Schindler's List, and they go, look, we are now going to liberate a death camp. And it's in Poland, and we need super skinny ass white people to be emaciated. And by the way, anybody here, no carb loading at lunch. We're filming this after lunch. Don't go all nuts at Crafty. And then we're going to film you coming out here in your underpants looking emaciated.
Yeah.
And then somebody could have said, well, how about a couple of fat asses?
Yeah.
And then Spielberg would have went, nah, that doesn't really work because these people were denied food. They were deprived of food. Yeah, but how about we fill it out with some fat asses? No. Because you can't be deprived food and be fat.
Yeah.
So we can't film that because it doesn't make sense. But how come everyone telling me they're not getting enough food is now fat? Spielberg would not abide by this. So anyway, you get the fat lunch lady, and she's telling me why Tom Steyer's her guy because he gives away food.
Right.
All right, let's hear her. She drives me nuts. Sometimes.
Every single day.
Yeah, well, we'll start from the beginning.
I'm the lunch lady. I cook for over 200 kids every single day. You would be amazed by how many kids come to school hungry. Finally, someone got pissed off and did something about it, and that was Tom Steyer.
What do you do?
Hold on, pause.
What do you do?
I didn't do anything. But hold on, here's the thing. How about somebody do something about it like their fucking parents?
Yeah.
How about you feed your fucking
Feed your
kids?
kids.
By the way, coming to school hungry.
Yeah.
She could see it in their little fat faces.
Right.
Oh, look at that little chubby cheek fucker there with the pink in his cheeks, with the guacamole on his lip. That guy. Oh, that guy who smells like bacon and has gravy stains on his shirt. That little fat fuck. He's hungry. I could see it in his eyes. I know because I'm fat and hungry too. By the way, when you're fat, you're hungry all the time because you're all fucking stretched out. So. She is the lunch lady, and she's got to make meals for all these kids because they show up with no food at home, which would beg the question, what the fuck are their parents doing?
Right.
Not feeding their kids? That's bad parenting.
Kind of important.
But they don't want to discuss that. They want to figure out a way to get the fat kids free shit.
Right.
All right, let's hear it.
200 kids every single day. You would be amazed by how many kids come to school hungry. Finally, someone got pissed off and did something about it, and that was Tom Steyer. Free school meals for every California kid. Your baby, my baby. Free lunches, free breakfast every day. That's 3 million lunches a day. I get to make 200 of them.
When do they learn?
Tom Steyer.
Well, hold on a second.
Because he fights
First
for
off,
us.
he's fighting for us. Tom Steyer's fighting for us.
he's not.
Finally, there's someone fighting for us.
Yeah.
Okay. Listen. There's no such thing as free lunch. Somebody pays for the lunch.
Yes.
Somebody's paying for breakfast and lunch. It's not free. It's like, oh, there's free Medi-Cal, and there's free daycare, and there's free hospice. It's not free.
Not free.
Somebody's getting paid tons of fucking money, and what they're doing is they're extracting money from the people who pay taxes
laundering
and giving
money
it to the bullshit fat asses who don't pay anything.
But also those people who control all the votes, like the unions and stuff, they get the breaks, and then...
So fuck Tom Steyer.
Fuck Tom Steyer. The good news about Tom Steyer is his advertising campaign isn't working. He's just stagnant.
You mean a morbidly obese woman talking about hunger is not working for him?
Yeah.
Man, I am devastated.
And then we got Katie Porter, Eric Swalwell.
Swalwell's going to polish
the
eyes.
biggest douche in the world.
He's dumb.
He farted on live TV.
That's the only thing I like about him.
I do love that. And he had a chance. He could have said, you know what? Yes, I did. And it was a good ripper.
Let me tell you
And you should have been there.
Swalwell's a fucking retarded douchebag. And Katie Porter's a retarded douchebag. And the only two things I like about him is one farted on camera and the other screamed at her assistant.
Staff. Yeah.
Demeaned her staff.
Yeah.
Those
are the two things they don't own.
I know. It's the only two things that make me vote. Like, I hated Katie Porter. And then I started thinking, well, she's demeaning to her staff.
Yeah.
I kind of share that.
Anyway, the primary for the governor's race in California is on June 2nd. That's just a couple of months away. Mm-hmm. And so they better get some debates going here.
Yeah.
Who knows what they're going to do? Are they going to put everybody on stage and just make it a shit show, a complete effing shit show?
I'm guessing. Who's the Polymarket? Eric Swalwell's
so stupid.
Number one.
So stupid. The guy is a retard.
We don't care. We like the way, we want in California? We want people to fight for us and stand up to bullying and stand up to Trump and stand up to ICE because we need to fight, because we need to stand up.
I honestly think that a lot of this is voter fraud. Through mail-in ballots and ballot harvesting.
But we need no ID and lots of ballot harvesting. I like those films where they go out and they get homeless people to sign petitions and shit like that. And give
Nobody. That investigation, by the way, just completely dropped off. No arrests, no follow-up, nothing, and nobody cares.
Now, because it's not happening. Always remember when something isn't happening. All right, you got another one?
Yeah, Los Angeles jury. Today, as we record this, actually found Meta and Google liable in a closely watched trial accusing social media platforms of designing their products to get young users addicted, awarding the plaintiff $3 million, and that is compensatory damages. Yeah. So then
there's the punitive.
The punitive damages could go much, much bigger, but of course they're going to appeal.
I kind of get it, but I don't get. Listen to me. Pringles are designed for you to eat the whole can.
Right.
Doritos are not made for you to have one. Mm-hmm. They're made for you to have the bag.
Right.
And they're engineered.
Yeah.
And cigarettes are designed to be smoked. Mm-hmm. And Percocet, they do better when you take 10 every day of your life.
Sure.
So, maybe we're getting back to this. They could invent a tire that never was wore out or something like that. Here's what I'm just going to say. Video games could be addicting. Scrolling on your phone could be addicting. The algorithms will be addicting. Yeah, you're going to be sitting there eating your Pringles and scrolling on something that's addicting. And at some point, you may be smoking, you may be drinking, you may be doing whether you sell tacos, cigarettes, video games, or your big tech, one and done is not your business model.
No, you're in the business to make money.
You want to sell a lot of tacos.
You want to hook them.
And you want that fucking person to come back and keep buying your tacos, right? Or your cigarettes or your Percocet or whatever it is. You're in a volume business. Okay. So that's kind of baked into the cake. Like, I get it. Now, there's a thing where you put lead in your Pringles, which gets everyone to buy more Pringles, but poisons people. And then we got a lawsuit. Mm-hmm. But listen to me, everyone. At some point, you're going to have to be in charge of yourself. First off, fast food is now open 24 hours. You are going to have to be, and it's even though people complain, it is really cheap to go to Taco Bell, and Taco Bell's open till 2 a.m. So you're going to have to control yourself. It's not going to be up to Taco Bell. And they're not going to comment. By the way, Taco Bell's not going to do what a bartender does and cut you off. Although that would be fun. Fat ass comes in to get a burrito and you're like, hey, sorry, man. You've been overserved.
You've had too many enchiladas.
Let me smell your breath. Yeah, I knew it. Taquitos. Yeah, listen, sir, I'll tell you what.
why don't you sit down in the car for a minute, try to relax, take a little nap. I got a burrito blower. We'll blow into a burrito. We'll see if you have any burrito breath.
Right.
And then if we come out clear, or by the way, a little field sobriety fat ass test. Why don't you give me 10 push-ups?
Yeah.
Can't do it? No burrito.
Why don't you make 200 free lunches for Tom Steyer? Let's see how many of you eat.
Yes, your blood avocado content is over the legal limit in California. Sorry, you've been over burrito served. I could lose my license as a fast food entrepreneur. So obviously, when you lose 40 pounds, come back and we can have that conversation.
Right.
That's right. Meanwhile, skinny guy comes in. I need a baker's dozen of tacos. Coming right up. Yeah, you've been overserved.
Well, what this
All
lawsuit
right.
does do is it opens the door, cracks the door just a little bit for others to be able to sue.
Everyone's going to sue
Meta and Google and
also, I mean, look, in a weird way, we tried this with rock music and Tipper Gore and all that stuff. I don't know. Listen, I'm not here to defend big tech. I am here to say, everybody, you're in charge of your fucking self.
take responsibility.
Take your fucking responsibility.
You know, it's funny that PMRC, the People's Music Resource Center, or whatever, when they wanted to put a sticker on albums, I found out that the Scorpions, who were from, West Germany and saw communism and the USSR and a major effing crackdown, when they found out that it was a sticker they were going to put on, the band laughed and was like, oh, that we still get to do it. We just have to put a sticker on it.
Yeah. Not much for a guy that's been behind a wall.
Right.
We are the Scorpions, and we're going to sting you with the rock and roll.
Yeah.
All right. I got stuff. Do you got any more?
I got a couple more, but what do you got?
Tell me the two you got left. Let me.
Belgian journalists smashed statues of Jesus and Mary. And Mark Normand versus Netflix about a Muslim joke.
Yeah, I think it's all kind of in the same vein, so give it a shot.
All right. We got some video of this, I believe. Journalists in Belgium smashing a Jesus and a Mary figurine, but they were asked if they would do it with Muhammad. And they're like, no, absolutely not.
Right. Because, all right, we'll play it, sorry.
Yeah!
Let me ask you a question, because you mentioned respecting each other. I'm thinking of respect towards all of the listeners. You played a video in there. What was it? The smashing video. You were doing a smashing class.
Yeah, we had a rage room because we were beating the blue out of the Monday. So people could text us like, I have a blue Monday because my car broke and everything. And we said, okay, we'll smash something for you, Callum. And then he was out. It's like, wow, this really felt good.
And it was pretty intense. And I saw in one part you had a statue of Jesus. Now, I know you laughed, but do you think that for many listeners, they would find that so deeply offensive to take a bat and to smash Jesus into pieces?
Wasn't it Madonna, by the way? No, it was no.
There was one, I think, of Madonna and the child, and there was one of Jesus.
So that's a very good question, because I think it might offend people. I think in Belgium, not really. We're not a very religious country
anymore.
Definitely not the listeners of Studio Brussels. But what we did, all the things we smashed, we made it very clear as well that these were all things that were already broken. So the statue, it was turned face towards the back of the room, so you wouldn't see the face as well, because that was it was a broken statue as well.
Okay.
But I think I would have been more careful in another country, definitely. In Belgium, it is not a big issue.
And
let me ask you this: if you were doing the video again, would you smash a symbol of the Prophet Muhammad?
That is a very dangerous one.
You wouldn't do it. Why not?
No, because that would be inappropriate, because in Belgium there are many...
But there are Christians too. I know the Pope visited Belgium.
Because you're fucking scared they'll cut your head off.
Exactly.
Yeah. They go Charlie
and
Hebdo on
that's
you.
where the defense of all of this comes in, is no, because they will kill us.
That's what we know. We're not supposed to say stuff like that, but we know all this stuff, which is funny. And then there is Mark Norman stand-up special on Netflix. Very funny, by the way. Lots of jokes in a world where people are cutting back on jokes. He's telling jokes.
Well, he talks about a conference call he had with the executives at Netflix who had some issues with a Muslim joke.
Let's watch.
So he'd like to not use the Muslim joke.
Smithereens.
And I go, well, I like the joke. It kills. It's a hot joke. And, no one touches Muzz.
I like the idea of like Islamic extremists using smithereens.
Right.
We blow you up to smithereens.
Yeah, you never know. It's a common term.
Smithereens is funny.
Charlie Hebdo got smithereened.
I'd love to know the origin of smithereens. We don't need it now, but later on. But that's funny. The idea of smithereens being in the letter is very good.
Where did that got to be a Bugs Bunny line or something?
Smithereens.
Get that on the back burner there, Fatty.
That's good stuff.
All right.
So they got to blow it up to smithereens.
So I'm on the call like, I thought this was going to be like we're cutting your money, we're taking the special down, we don't like you, don't stop writing us letters. But they were like, we want to take out the Muslim joke. And they're very cool.
The whole special, not just the clip?
Well, that's what I thought. So I was like, I've got to fight for the joke here, folks. You approved it, now you're going back, and they're like, well, okay, we'll keep it in the hour, but we got to get it off socials. And I said, why? What's the difference? And they go, well, socials is where all the shit starts.
Right.
You go put shit on the internet, that's where the fire fucking
Gets
kicks
pulled,
up.
yeah.
The pile on, the retweets, the sharing. You can't comment on a TV screen,
Right.
So they're like, well, we got to take it off. So that's a no-brainer. And I was like, okay. I don't love it, but okay. I will take it off on one condition. And they said, all right, what do you want to hear? What do you want? And I go, I want you to admit on this call that there are dangerous people.
Oh, jeez.
And they were like, what? No. What are you, crazy? And I'm like, you got to admit it. Or I'm keeping it, or I'm posting it.
Yeah.
Wow. And they were like, I'm half joking, but they were like, you could hear like a in the back, like a horse was walking through.
Netflix,
and I was like,
douches.
That's all I need. And they go, well, we're not going to do that. And I'm like, why not? They go, well, that's offensive. And I go, that's what the call is. You're calling about this, and I just need you to say it out loud. You know me. I need acknowledgement, Jerry.
I like acknowledgement. Everyone wants acknowledgement.
All right, makes sense. Good. Yes, yeah. I know. Everyone knows the truth. By the way, that's why no prominent black lives in a black neighborhood, because there's too much fucking crime. They'd rather just go to okay. Charlize Theron has the adopted black kids, talks about how racist this country is. Where's she living?
Yeah.
In Compton?
Right.
The all white neighborhood. The BLM leader chick moves to Topanga Canyon, which is the whitest place in America. Because she knows the truth. So we're living in a time when everyone knows the truth. No one's allowed to say anything about it, because then they're going to have a problem. And by the way, the problem with a lot of these places like England is no one wanted to say anything about it and got in trouble if they did. And now they're crawling with fucking Muslims and they've destroyed their society.
Right.
Sorry. But by the way, the Muslims are there to destroy your society. The joke about them is they don't get that it all goes away once they get in charge. They act like the society. It's like, I always say that. It's like the indigenous people want the land back of California. Where, okay, there wouldn't be any Golden Gate Bridge if you fuckers lived here the whole time. You'd just be fighting each other and riding horses with no saddles.
Well, it's the same argument.
Slave training.
Immigrants built America. Right. Well, not recently. A couple hundred years ago, sure.
Someone the other day. All right, it's all the slaves built America. When did they put down the hammers? Because I've never worked with a black guy in these trades. All right, I got to yell at one guy real quick.
Do it.
Which is Pritzker. Pritzker is he's decided to get his fat ass to go down to the airport and yell about ICE.
Right.
Because he's got a big ICE issue. And I want to just yell something at him real quick. Go ahead and play it, sir.
There have been real failures. Those failures, of course, extend beyond the borders of Illinois. They're national failures, a failure to have comprehensive immigration reform, a failure of the president to follow his own edict to go after the worst of the worst. There have been...
Okay, his own edict. Okay, so the problem is you got an 18-year-old girl. She was executed by an illegal. You live in a sanctuary state, in a sanctuary city, so it's Trump's fault.
Trump said he was going to go after the worst of the worst. And by the way, you can just go after the worst. We don't need a pecking order. This guy killed this person.
He's just the worst.
Skinned them and made a lampshade out of them. Okay,
Right.
we just have killing people. All right, Trump said he's going to go after worst of the worst, you fat idiot. Here's the deal. The guy who just got done executing this 18-year-old was not a criminal. He was just here in your sanctuary city illegally. He'd been caught for shoplifting. You would have complained that all he did was shoplift 2 years ago and ICE is coming after him and deporting him. You would have fucking squealed like a stuck pig, you fat ass. Yeah. Now, at some point, that guy who wasn't the worst of the worst, he was just a shoplifter, ends up snuffing out an 18-year-old young girl.
Yeah.
Now he is a killer. Yeah. You got your wish, bitch. All right.
Too logical.
Too logical. Paget Brewster, Everybody Touch Me is the name of her film. Me, tomorrow night and Saturday. Hold on. Norfolk, Nebraska, which the guy pronounced differently when I spoke to him today, so I may be screwing that up. District Event Center. Early show Fridays, about sold out, but there's other shows. Then Sunday, early shows, late shows sold out. Lincoln, Nebraska. Go to adamcarolla.com for all that. Dawson?
North Hollywood, Friday night Comedy Chateau, returning the stage for Friday night show.
So, till next time, Adam Carolla for Paget and Dawson saying, Mahala.